centre of the course, coming with an electric finish. Do it again. He's coming at Rainbow Bridge. He's a board leader and he will do it again.
Welcome to the Sean Tarry Factor Show as we preview the 2020 race meeting of the Vodacom Durban July taking place at Hollywood Bets Gravel. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome my colleague as well as our guest today, Sean Tarry, to the studio. Graham, I'll start with you. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much, Warren. It's great to be here. It's wonderful to have Sean with us because aptly named the Sean Tarry Factor Show because he's got many, many key runners throughout the day. Nice to have you with us, Sean.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, thank you for your time, and it's just absolutely wonderful that you've joined us in the studio. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Lovely. We've got a feast of racing. Let's get straight to the action and start off with the first race, which is the Hollywood Bets Kingsmead Stadium Pinnacle Stakes. They're going to race over 1,100 metres, this time on the poly track. And I'll start with Sean as he's our guest with the runner in the first. Graham will give us his selections and his thoughts as we go along. But Sean, Chimichurri Run starts off your day. And this colt by Trippy is going to try the poly track for the first time. What are your thoughts on the poly track surface with this horse?
I think he'll go on the poly. I mean, I've entered him on the poly. I'm hoping he'll go on the poly. Being by Trippy, that bodes well for him. I'm not mad about the draw, and that was where I was umming and ahhing as to whether to run him. So the two question marks are obviously poly and the draw. And the horse I would think I have to beat is Sing for Rafa. Comes in with a good draw and ran an exceptional race to Celtic Sea, obviously. And I have to respect her on that run.
Yeah, Sean, it's interesting that that Chimichurri Run is being ridden by Gavin Larena, and of course your regular stable jockey rides the Danger. Sing for Rafa to be ridden by Lyle, who suddenly struck up a winning partnership with the Cornet Speciard. Yeah. But not to forget Sing for Rafa's stable companion Van Halen won on this day over the course and distance a year back, and on his day is a very, very good horse. So it could be a match, Sean, between your stable and the Cornet Spec stable.
Yeah, probably will be. Obviously, eye-catching runs to Mr. Flood, Van Halen, that is. Having said that, I do believe Chimmy is the best horse in the race. And a little bit of luck in running. I think he's got a massive winning chance. Of the two Spice runners, definitely Sing for Rafa.
And I guess you sort of keeping him ticking over. I guess his ultimate goal for champion season for Chimichurri Run, that is the Mercury Sprint at the end of August.
Yes, the Mercury would be the race for him, but obviously another race where you need to crack a draw, and to sit quietly and wait for that race and you draw 14 is it's also you're going to end up regretting. So this will keep him fit. He has run a lot of late, but I mean he did have a big gap obviously between Cape Town and now at Durban season. So yeah, I think obviously big runner.
Well, Warren, he has been priced up favourite at 3-1. Chimichurri Run is the favourite at 3-1. There has been anti-post market support for number 2, Sing for Rafa. Van Halen is quite easy to back at 12-1. But the third choice in the market is number 3, Captain Tatters, who races from a good draw, the Richard Faris, Justin Snaith combination. Very good form. He's only a one-time winner coming into a very hotly contested Pinnacle race over 1,100 metres, but the form speaks for itself. He's a young horse, 3-year-old. He must have a bit of a chance.
He certainly must have, Graham, and I had a word with Justin Snaith when it ran second to Wonderwall, this horse, Captain Tatters, and he was quite upbeat about that performance and was looking forward to the next run. So I think you've got to also factor a horse like Captain Tatters into your quartets and trifectas. But we've had Sean's comments on Chimichurri Run. Your final numbers for the first, Graham?
Well, it's not my intention to upset Sean, but I'm going to tip number 2, Sing for Rafa, to win it. I'm in the Sean Tarry camp many times through the day, but I'm going to tip number 2, Sing for Rafa. She might just have too much pace for him, but of course he is all class. As Sean said, Chimichurri Run is the best horse in the race probably. And so I've selected him to run second, Captain Tatters to run third, and Van Halen to run fourth, with healthy respect also for Buana.
Okay, well, if you're a court exacta player, Sean Tarry's horse 9, Chimichurri Run, and 2, Sing for Rafa, you might want to box those a few times. But let's move along to the second race where Sean hasn't got a runner. It is the KZN Yearling Sale Million non-black type event over 1,300 metres. Graham, well, Vernici, the Group 1 filly of Gareth van Zales. I had a word with Warren Kennedy, and of course he would never mind us sharing the information. He's worked her, everything's in perfect order for her. He's just a little bit concerned about the draw, but he gives her naturally a huge chance.
Well, she's quite a short price favourite, as one would expect on form. She's 16 to 10. She did open 14 to 10. They've drifted her slightly to 16 to 10. I guess because of the fact that she goes around the bend for the first time, she's drawn out very deep. She's chasing a big prize money, so I can understand her accepting to run in the race. These are all graduates of last year's KZN Yearling Sales race, and it's quite strong this year. Super Agra and Native Tongue representing first-time out winners that caught the eye the other day. But Stella Act has got a couple of lengths to find with Venici on the past form, but she's got a much better draw. So I think Stella Act is going to run a big race. I think there's tremendous value about number 2, Stella Act, at 10 to 1. Gets Elder de Meyer on board. With due respect to Jabu Jacobs, and he'll accept what I'm saying now in the spirit in which it's intended. It is a bit of a jockey strike, yes. Because as talented as Jabu is, obviously Elder is a lot more experienced on a big day like this. So Stella Act jumps from a very good draw, has 2 lengths to find with Venici, and could well do it, given that Venici is drawn out 14 of the 14 runners.
Okay, that is the sales race, the KZN Yearling Sale Million. Off at about 12:05. Then we're going to move on to race 3, which kicks off the place accumulator. It's over 2,200 metres, the Group 3 event. And scratched her as number 10, Perfect Tigress. Sean has 2 runners in the race, and which are Tilbury Fort and Lord Silverio. And Sean, a horse like Tilbury Fort, on his best form, he'd be able to win a race like this.
Yeah, I certainly would. He has obviously lost his way. He's getting a little bit long in the tooth, and we've decided to put the blinkers on. He's actually upped his game a little bit with the blinkers on, and it seems like the obvious thing to try now that we've sort of running out of options. However, this horse has come really well in Durban, and although I can't be confident, I'm more hopeful of what I'm seeing at home, that he brings it to the track. I am expecting a big improvement. I think on his best form, he can win the race. We know that he's not at his best in terms of his form, but he's certainly showing me that he's getting there in terms of well-being. So I can't give you confidence, but I can tell you to include him.
Would he be the pick of your 2 runners?
Yes, he would, but not by far. Blinkers as well, improved. Lord Silverio is a horse I thought very highly of as a young horse. Lost his way. I gelded him, which I thought was the answer on his first run, but his second run disappointed me a little bit in that he was moving so beautifully and running to the wire, but he didn't accelerate, and he has got great acceleration. So blinker strike there too, and I wouldn't leave either horse out, to be honest with you, being the fact that it is an open race, and I have seen good improvement from both at home.
That's a positive talk, Graham.
I think you leave any of Sean Tarry's runners out on a big day like today. You leave them out at your own peril. But they've priced up Warren. They've priced up number 2, Sovereign Spirit, a weak favourite. Candice Bass Robinson, the trainer. She's had a very frustrating run, but that came to an end with a winner at Kenilworth on Wednesday. So at Durbanville rather on Wednesday. Sovereign Spirit is 7 to 2 opening favourite. Run a very good race in the Cup trial. Carries a low weight, gets the services of Grant van Niekerk, but in some ways this is a very, very open race. You have to like number 13, Tristful, I guess, from the Tony Rivelin stable. Reserve runner, obviously, for the Vodacom Durban July. Has had 3 runner-ups in a row, including second to Bulgarian in the World Sports Betting 1900. So Tristful has a bit of a tricky draw to overcome. I think Glenn Kotson has got a couple of decent runners also. Number 3, Cat Daddy, comes into the race with a chance, as does number 12, Pack Leader. So this is the opening leg of the place accumulator. I think Tilbury Fort does, based on Sean's comments, I think Tilbury Fort does warrant inclusion, because this is a kind of race. There look to be a few legs of the place accumulator where you can go pretty light with some confidence, but this looks a race where there is a potential for an upset. You can't ignore Herodotus, who's also trained by Glenn Kotson. He's got the 3 runners. Herodotus has got to start finding the kind of form that he showed in Cape Town sometime soon. So it's a tricky start to the place accumulator. I'm in the camp at number 2, Sovereign Spirit, but not with a great deal of confidence. Your fancy?
Graham, I did also tip Sovereign Spirit to win this race from number 13, Tristful, but as you say, with no degree of confidence because it is competitive, and I do like what Sean's just told us about Tilbury Fort because he's got a soft spot in my heart, does Tilbury Fort, and I'll always include him. But to answer your question, we're in the Candice Bass-Robinson team here with Sovereign Spirit.
I think we must mention one further horse before we close out race 3, and that's number 11, Magnificent 7. Obviously, he was off the track with an injury for a very long time from May 2019 till the other day in the Cup trial where he didn't run well at all. But he can only go forwards from here. I guess, though, on the other side of the coin, this is probably part of his preparation for maybe a crack at the Gold Cup at the end of the month.
The fourth race is the DSTV Gold Vase. It's a Group 3 event over 3,000 metres. And it sets off the first leg of the Pick Six, and there surely is going to be a lovely pool, an attractive pool that we'll all try and get a piece of. And Graham, I'll start with you this time because we'll go to Sean next to talk about Before Noon and Shenanigans. Are you going light? Are you going...
You can't really go light
No.
in the first leg of the Pick Six if you really are intent on getting through. My hesitant top choice is number 12, Dynasty's Blossom, on the fact that she ran second in the DSTV Gold Vase last year and then went on to win the Gold Cup. This is the kind of distance that she excels over. But, her recent form doesn't inspire a huge amount of confidence. I'm expecting her to improve back on this track. She seems to go well at Hollywood Bets Gravel. But I'm going to ask Sean because, Shenanigans won on this day last year. He, in fact, won the Campanaggio 2200. He won the July Consolation. And then went on to run in the Gold Cup, Sean, and only finished 2 lengths, a couple of lengths off Dynasty's Blossom. So you've bypassed the 2200 this time and gone straight for the DSTV Gold Vase over 3,000 metres. His last 2 runs are worrying, but I guess you will be looking for improvement here.
Yes, well, I think we remember last year he did definitely improve coming down to Durban, and he certainly raised his game in both runs on July Day, and actually was quite unlucky if you watch the replay of the Gold Cup. It was really a good run. Having said that, the form is what it is, and you can't get away from it, so we are looking for improvement. On his current rating, he's probably 4 kilos out with the better weighted horses. On his best rating, he's not out at the weight. So basically, he needs to find his best form to have a chance here. There are definitely signs of improvement back home. I must be honest, I'd be happy with a place. Obviously, we are prepping him for the Gold Cup, but we also need to get into the Gold Cup. So we are looking for a very positive run. Hopeful of improvement. I can't be confident. I think just while I've got the floor, Before Noon, also 5 kilos out. I think he's a horse that I've always wanted to try over the extra ground. He's done very well over 2-4. And I suppose if you're going to try the 3,000, now's the time. You are 5 kilos out at the weights, but we'll soon find out if he can up his game over this type of trip. Hopeful rather than confident.
You probably know more about many of your opponents in this race than we do, and I'm referring, of course, to the likes of Sunshine Silk and Factor 50 and Imperial Ruby. These are hard-knocking stayers from your part of the woods, up there on the Highveld. Factor 50 is a weak favourite. They're betting 6-1 the field in this race. That's how wide open it is, Warren. 6-1 the field. Factor 50 is the favourite. If you had to pick out one of those Highveld contenders that is not in your yard, who would you have most respect for?
Okay, I do respect, obviously, Sunshine Silk a lot. Vermonda also, healthy respect. Both of those fillies are well weighted. Obviously, there's tiered weights in this race. And I think, you have to respect them both. Having said that, I wouldn't discount Tapper North, horses like Flickety by far, Dynasty's Blossom, and Factor 50. Those are the horses that are probably the best weighted and need to be respected in the race.
Well, one thing's for certain, Warren, to win this race, you've got to stay 3,000 metres, you know, and there are a few in the race who've shown that they have a penchant for staying. And like I said, without too much confidence, I'm going with Dynasty's Blossom. Hard to know what to expect of Justin Snaith's Runner Swift Surprise, but you have the last word. What do you fancy?
I've gone with Imperial Ruby, Cornet Species Horse, Graham and Sean. I've gone for Craig Zacky's Mount. It was an impressive win over the 3-2 in the Gold Bowl last time at Turffontein, and just purely on that, I've made him my first choice, but by no means anywhere near supremely confident.
But it is a field race.
Just in case you might have missed something, that Imperial Ruby, there's a 15-kilo turnabout with before noon for a short head. So if you like Imperial Ruby, you're going to be forced to include...
I didn't say I liked Imperial Ruby, he did.
Okay, let me rephrase it. if one likes Imperial Ruby, you'd almost be forced to include before noon.
No denying Imperial Ruby's got a chance, but not weighted to win this time around. But who knows? I mean, racing is not run on paper; it's run on the turf. In this particular case, certainly over 3,000 meters. But Sean, if you were playing a pick six, and I'm not sure whether you are, and you're chasing 15 million rands, which is where we're hoping the pool gets to, there's only one surefire way of getting through the first leg, and that's to include the lot.
Yeah, I, over this ground, I would play it differently because you're going to need a big budget to.
But we can back the horse in the second leg. We can, narrow down the guard. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in a moment.
Don't jump the gun. But the way I would play it, and I'm talking about me personally, I'm not telling anybody to follow my advice. That may not be the right thing to do, because if you look at what I owe the bookmakers, it might not be the way to go. But what I'm going to do is go with the best weighted horses, and I'm going to throw my two in, obviously, because I never leave my own horses out. And hopefully one of them can arrive at a massive price, and we'll be off to a good start.
Yeah, well, I don't leave Sean's horses out, and I'm not saying it because he's sitting there before noon. I've backed it every time it's won, so I'm certainly going to be including that in with Imperial Ruby. But let's move along then to the fifth race, the Zulu Kingdom Explorer Golden Slipper. It's a Group 2 event over 1,400 metres, and a lovely field it's attracted. It really has. And let's go straight to you, Sean, because here's a beautiful filly by Pomodora for Mr. Van Niekerk and Lyle rides. And she was impressive on debut at Turffontein. She was impressive here at KwaZulu-Natal. Tell us more about her and what you're expecting.
I think she's a top filly. I think as she gets older, she's going to get better and better. I've been going on about Pomodora, obviously, probably voice alone, but I think the odds are starting to be more in my favour than they have been. She's going to appreciate a bit more ground. The only thing that troubles me is last time it was soft. It just made that 1,400 a bit more testing, yielding. And, I'm just a little bit concerned about a fast 1,400, that I hope she doesn't get too outpaced early on. I know even if she does get outpaced, she can still mow them down. She's very good. Only thing is I wouldn't want to see her get out of her ground at Greyville. As long as we 4 or 5 lengths off them, I think we'd have a good chance of making it up. I wouldn't leave out the other filly out of the quartet. I think she'll improve nicely. I wasn't unhappy with the last run, considering she returned with a strained hindquarter muscle. The blinkers go on. But am I bankering Caroluma? Yes.
Well, short and sweet, because I think Sean made the point, every year on Vodacom Durban July Day, there seems to be a key horse. A couple of years ago, it was Bella Bella when she was running in the Johnson's Workwear Garden Province Stakes. Last year, it was Eden Rock. Every year, there's one horse that the public sort of play around. It's the key horse of the exotics, and I think Caroluma fits that bill. She's won twice by a combined margin of 8 lengths. She's cracked the number 1 draw. She's just along the inside of her stable companion, Dabawi Princess, that Sean mentioned should be included in quartets. She's the shortest price favourite on the day. The even money was snapped up. She's into 8 to 10, the only odds on chance of the day. Of course, that doesn't make her a winner. The betting doesn't make her a winner, but the form book does. I'm not going to go against the form book, Warren. I think I'm going to row in with the public's choice here. Not expecting any upsets. Hopefully not. Banker Caroluma.
Well, we're all seeing from the same hymn sheet, because I'm in Caroluma's camp as well, and she's really impressed me And that last run at Greyville, both runs really impressed me. And we're all going to row in with her. As an exacted choice, Graham, who would be your second choice?
Yeah, I'm happy to go with Sean. You know, they've both well drawn. I guess there are a couple of others. These 2-year-olds, they improve at different rates. I mean, there are a couple of others in the race. There's Delta Queen, I think, is going to improve over the extra trip. She started of a career in very promising fashion. Hasn't run badly behind Vernishi. Has given the impression that Dean Canamer's filly Delta Queen will improve over a little bit more ground. So she's got to go in there. Dubawi Prince and. What worries me about Jeff Woodruff's horse is that although she's started to be very good, and I have no doubt that she is good, she was very green first time out, which augurs well for her because she still won well. But obviously, I think what concerns me is she may lack a little bit of experience to come down here to Hollywood Bets Graham. I may be proven completely wrong. Obviously, I may be proven completely wrong.
I think you're probably right to respect her, definitely, because Gavin Arena would have had, he could have got the ride with me on the horse drawn 2, and he didn't even call for the ride. So he's got to have some degree of confidence, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that you should take it at face value, but just respect this filly because Gavin.
Well, she came to the racecourse first time out with a big reputation, and obviously those 2-year-olds, especially from a powerful stable like the Jeff, they know what a good horse is. So yeah, healthy respect for Maladima, but I'm just a bit concerned that she may be a little bit more on the green side. First time at Hollywood Bets Greyville, drawn a little wide, but the race will show how good she is. Absolutely. But I think Karen Loomis sets a standard, so you've got to have a view. You know, unless you've got an unending budget, you've got to limit certain legs.
Absolutely.
So I'm playing around Caroluma as a banker.
I'm with you, and so is Sean. Caroluma all the way. That's our banker, and lovely to hear the positive comments from Sean as well. Moving along to race 6, the Durban Golden Horseshoe. It's a Group 2 event over 1,400 metres. Graham, I won't start with you this time, but I'll get you to get your numbers ready, of course. Sean, you've got Ecstatic Green and Willow Express in the race. Let's start off with Ecstatic Green. She gave the supporters of Vernici last time a big fright. She ran an absolute cracker in the Alan Robinson.
Yeah, I thought it was a great showing. I mean, let's remember that she was drawn 15 under 15, and she finished on the inside rail to get beaten 0.15. That's a massive showing. First time at Scottsville. So now we're third run, and obviously we've got the 3 draw. I don't think she'll have any problem with the extra furlong, and she gets the 6 allowance. So I think there's a lot in her favour. Having said that, I often do take the boys on. My stats aren't bad, but I mean, a lot of them have come unstuck. Yeah, so we always respect the 2-year-old colts, obviously the rate at which they're improving. It seems quite open, even though Eric the Red looks like the obvious horse to beat. There seem like there are quite a few horses on the up. Glenn Cotson's horse certainly won a maiden well enough. It's competitive, but I'll give her a big chance.
Willow Express, the handsome son of Willow Magic. We've gone on and on. He really is a good-looking sort. Third last time, good run.
Yeah, it was a good run. Not second, eh?
Was it?
But a very good run. I'm happy with the horse. I think the 1200 was a little sharp for him. I think he'd appreciate the step up in trip. And, you know, just in case they walk, he'll end up in front and, you know, maybe set his own fractions. So I wouldn't write him off. However, my first choice is the filly.
Okay, and Eric the Red, Graham, was a drift in the market earlier on because of the money that's come for Ashford Castle number 5, and there's been a little bit of a nibble on Ecstatic Green as well. But Ashford Castle, your thoughts on Glenn Cotson's horse?
Yeah, look, well, firstly, I've narrowed it down in my view. In my book, I've narrowed it down to 4 runners. 3 Ecstatic Green, 4 Eric the Red, 5 Ashford Castle, and 8 Gold Season. Of those, my initial feeling was to go with Eric the Red because he gave the impression that he needed that first run up here, although he had done lots of racing. I don't think he needed it from a fitness perspective, but he had travelled down. I think he's looking for a bit more ground. But I must be honest, the talk is big on Ashford Castle. big talk out there for numbers 5, Ashford Castle. So I kind of changed my mind. I'm sort of leaning towards number 5, Ashford Castle. Gold Season, of course, did absolutely nothing wrong. He came down, won the Gate Crasher Stakes, so he's obviously, and Ashley Fortune's having a great run with the horses at the moment. I love Ecstatic Green from that draw. I don't see any disadvantage being a filly against the colt. She's cracked a draw. She's got the form. But you also have to respect Eric the Red. So I'm going to include all 4. I'm going to take a chance and leave out Ecstatic Green's stable companion. I'm going to include 3 Ecstatic Green, 4 Eric the Red, 5 Ashford Castle, and 8 Gold Season in my play. But if you had to press me for a first choice, it would be number 5 Ashford Castle.
Okay, that's Graham Hawkins' numbers for the Durban Golden Horseshoe Group 2 over 1,400 metres. And my numbers, I've gone 3, 5, 4, 8. I've gone for Ecstatic Green to beat Ashford Castle. Then we're going to move on to the big one, the Vodacom Durban July, the grade 1, well, one of the big ones on the day, but it's the headline race and over 2,200 metres. Sean, Shango and Tierra del Fuego are your coupling. Are they obviously at this point in time? They're in a good space and all systems go, ready for the big one.
Yeah, I'm very happy with them. Obviously, it's a high class field, and I think even though mine are both generously priced, it just shows you how tough the race is. Shango's had a great prep. He's enjoyed himself down here as expected. I'm expecting him to improve within himself a number of lengths. He's got it all to do to beat a horse like Got the Green Light, who quickens better than most horses that I've seen. He seemed to love Greyville. But I'll be improving on that run. It's very hard to give anybody out there confidence based on the form. But I am hopeful that my horses are not going to be far off them. They're well prepared. Both of them are on the up, and they both deserve the places. So, if anybody hasn't got a strong fancy and they're going to go a little wider here, I would include my horses, definitely. However, if they've nailed the colours to the mast, that's great. They don't have to go, they can go a little lighter here.
Sean, the Vodacom Durban July obviously gets dissected in so many platforms, on so many different preview shows, on different channels, YouTube, etc. Everybody's got a view. So just park your, but let's find out what your view is. So park your 2 horses just for the moment. So take them out of your mind. In your view, what is the principal danger? What is the most likely winner in your view?
So it's not that clear to me, but I can just talk briefly through the key protagonists. And I'd say if we look at Justin Snaith, I like Bulgarian, but I've got a healthy respect for Do It Again. He just clearly showed he wasn't right in Cape Town, and that's all. It can happen to any horse. They're flesh and blood, but he certainly bounced back well enough in his last run. So, you cannot discount this horse, and I think he's a big price. Bulgarian, obviously, the confidence is there, the talk's there, rightly so, very well weighted. And you have to respect the horse in a big way. So from his stable, those are the 2. Obviously got the green light, big runner. Really got a lot in his favour. I've spoken about my 2.
Eric Sands' 2.
Eric Sands' 2. I have to go with Rainbow Bridge. I mean, the horse has done nothing wrong. He's settled down so beautifully. So this horse could actually improve, which is a bit scary. But I think of the 2, I would definitely lean towards his horse. And don't discount Socrat. Big mistake if you do. This horse gave away 7.5 kilos in the Summer Cup when opinion was that he didn't stay, but he travelled wide and he ran on really, really strongly. He'll get the trip, no problem.
Well, we were chatting off air amongst some friends, and I said actually Socrates' best run this entire season obviously was that effort in the Summer Cup when running second to your horse and giving him so much weight, racing wide, seeing the 2,000 metres out. I've got no issues with Socrates seeing out the 2,200 metres. But as you say, it's a field this year, Warren, that is laden with class. You've got that group of 130 plus horses at the top. You've got a couple of nicely handicapped horses in the middle, like Tierra del Fuego and Bunker Hunt, and then you've got and Twist of Fate is in that group, and then you've got the 3-year-olds at the bottom of the weight, all carrying the same weight. So if you're going to take the Daily News 2000 form literally, then obviously it's got the green light from Padre Pio and Golden Ducat and then Shango. But if you look at the SA Derby, there was absolutely nothing to choose between Shango and got the green light. So any of those 3-year-olds could feature. In fact, all of them could feature. It wouldn't surprise me to see the 3-year-olds dominate this race, even though most people appear to have written them off. It's that competitive. I'm going to nail my colours to the mast in terms of an outright selection. It's nothing fancy. I'm not rewriting the script. I'm in the camp of number 2, Rainbow Bridge, for the reasons that Sean has mentioned. It's scary that he might be getting better. It's scary that he's settled down. It's scary that he's never run a bad race in his entire life. So, if you're looking for a horse to give you an absolute solid run for your money from a very good draw and in very good form, he's settled down well, he won the Hollywood Bets Gold Challenge in good style, then in my opinion, look no further than Rainbow Bridge.
And it was a lovely word that Sean used, because it is just that, as you say, scary, because he can improve off that. And we've spent a lot of time at Summerfeld during the week, and he's put up his last work was good. He's in a good space. It's just everything's on song. So the jockey is very confident. Warren Kennedy is. So is Eric Sands. So there's a lot to like. But
without putting a spanner, that's why you also have to respect Do It Again. Because
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Do It Again's Cape form has to be discounted, and people are not discounting it. You have
In
to
fact,
put
Do It
a
Again
line.
is better off at the weights this year,
Yes,
having
correct.
beaten Rainbow Bridge last year.
Correct. So you've got to be foolish to think this horse's Cape form represents his ability.
yeah, 100%. And his last run, Do It Again, I mean, in the Gold Challenge was fantastic. It was a
No,
good
he's
run.
back to himself. He looks well. He's working well. He galloped well. He loves quite, which is not to say he doesn't like Cape Town, because his previous year in Cape Town was terrific. So it's not a question that he prefers Durban to Cape Town. It's just he's come well again. He's
Correct.
come well. He looks to be a happy horse, and I agree with Sean. I'm not concerned about the draws. The draws, if you go back over the record books, only one horse has ever won from the number 1 draw. Many more have won from wider draws. So, and he's got Anton Marcus aboard, so he'll have every chance. It's going to be, whatever the outcome, the Vodacom Durban July of 2020 is going to be one cracking race. And again, I think from an exotic play perspective, you've got to go pretty wide.
Graham, before we move on, one last question for you. Tote pays up to 6 places. Value for a horse to run a place, who would that be?
Golden Ducat, because he's 25 to 1, along with Shango. Shango, I'm going to lean more towards Golden Ducat than Shango, and again, the race may prove me wrong. But at 25 to 1, I think he's a wonderful place bet.
Okay.
And certainly on the tote with 6 places,
Yes.
I'd be surprised if Golden Ducat wasn't in the first 6.
Okay, let's move along. But before we move along, friends, just want to double confirm. Quite right. In the previous race, we were discussing Willow Express. Sean, second to Garrulus. Willow Express, my mistake. I mentioned it ran third. So just to make it clear to the viewers, certainly finished second to Garrulus, which seems to be a very talented sort of Glenn Cotson's. Now, Group 1 racing. More Group 1 racing, I should say. Johnson Workwear, Garden Province Stakes over 1,600 metres. Sean, you've got 2 strings to your bow in the dance, and number 7 is Celtic Sea. Well, to talk about that last win of Celtic Seas at Scottsville, as a racing enthusiast, I couldn't believe it. It was the most magnificent thing to see. But you, as a trainer, you must have had your heart really in your mouth. But it was a win out the top draw. Really, it was.
Yes, they came out the gates and everything was going beautifully, and she was actually showing good pace, and the pace just on her outside was a little stronger than hers, and Gavin allowed them to just come across him, and as that cover came, she dropped the bit, and obviously there were no alarm bells yet, but 2 furlongs down the line, it looked desperate, but I suppose that's what champions do.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable win. Against Run Fox Run, and as you say, a very quick sing for Rafa on a track that was running very fast, wasn't conducive to actually sitting off the pace and coming with a late flourish as she did. So she, it's not normal for the SA Filly Sprint to be run at this time of the year on a frostbitten track. It's normally run still towards the end of May when we've got a bit of green grass and having a little bit of rain around. So it was a 5-star performance. Now, she did win, of course, the SA Filly Sprint last year as well, a lot more convincingly, and then went on to win the Johnson's Workwear Garden Province Stakes. So she achieved the double last year. She's looking to achieve that same double this year. But I guess it's the Majorca Stakes form that comes under the spotlight here, because you come up against Clouds Unfold this year, who missed last season's KZN champion season. There was nothing to choose between them in the Majorca Stakes. Leading into that race, of course, Celtic Sea had beaten Clouds Unfold over the 1200 quite convincingly, but there's no... While Celtic Sea, I think you would agree, is obviously very versatile, very classy, just a champion in her own right. Clouds Unfold is definitely better over 1600 metres, but you've got the advantage perhaps of a draw and experience at this track. So how do you see the two fillies shaping up?
Listen, Clouds Unfold is a very good filly, and I think she's fantastic. She's obviously run well at this course, so she knows the course too, and obviously a very strong field last time. This is a third run. Besides the draw, which she probably couldn't use anyway, she's not a filly that sits up second, third. It looks like it's pretty even. Gavin was forced to be bolder than we planned to be in Cape Town, and she did quite a lot, and she had to hit the front sooner than we would have liked to. And without excuses, we got beat fair and square. There's only one filly that I could even see beating us on the day, and that was Clouds Unfold, even though the heat was also based on she was just coming back to form, but I knew there was only one horse to beat. And even though this is a very competitive race, I do feel it's a similar position, that she's definitely the filly that I have to beat, or she may have me to beat.
I think it's a boat race. I know, and again, you're the expert more than we are on the Highfield form. I know that Vistula and Ronnie's Candy obviously bring in the Empress Club Stakes form. That's also Group 1 level. But to be quite honest, I'm as a punter now, speaking with a punter's hat, and as a form student as well, because that's what leads you to deciding what you're backing, I'm going in as a boat race. Warren.
I'm going to be even a bit more bolder, because I've played my... my cards. I've bankered her, Graham. I'm going to bank a Celtic Sea. I've bankered Sean's two horses, Caroluma, and I've bankered Celtic Sea. Yes, it's a boat race, but I've just restricted by the budget, so I'm going to bank a Celtic Sea. But obviously, healthy respect for Clouds Unfold. Driving Miss Daisy, we can't ignore either for quartet swingers, and as you've touched on Vistula as well, third run after a layoff, but that's for quartet purposes. But for me, I'm Celtic Sea, big fan.
Yeah, I'm also leaning towards Celtic Sea, but I'm not that brave. I think they're both high quality fillies. I think over the various seasons and the times they've met, they've shown there's been very little to choose between them. And Elder DeMeo gets on very well with Clouds Unfold, as does Gavin with Celtic Sea. So I'm gonna make it a boat race. If something else does come up to win, if they fluff their lines, and yes, Vistula has some claims, and obviously Driving Miss Daisy has some claims, and Ronnie's Canyon. So be it. But you got to narrow these races down, because there are other more difficult races around.
Sean, just a quick comment on In the Dance, the stable companion.
Yes, I think it's only fair just to mention. I mean, Peter Graaf and Lammerskroonstad, I mean, they've been good supporters of mine, and obviously, to have a filly that qualifies for a race like this, as a breeder, you have to take your chances, even though I think it's hard for her to beat the stable companion. She's got a one draw. She's had one run at Greyville, and the owners deserve a crack at this race from that draw, regardless of how I think they'll run in what order, But she's very well prepared. The blinkers are on. I feel like I'm the blinker trainer.
The blinker strike.
It's not normally my style. Everything's in blinkers.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Lala's going to be trying for his life because he's won this. He won this race on Celtic Sea last year, and he won the year before that. So Lala's looking for a hat trick of wins in the Johnson's Workwear Garden Province Stakes. So.
For Peter Graaf and Lammerskroon with the Redberry Lane.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
So I do feel Celtic has a measure quite confidently. However, this filly has a one draw, and she has only had one run at Greyville, which resulted in a short head to O Susanna. So if you're going wider or you want an inclusion for the quartets, I would include her.
Okay, lovely to really dissect, and we hope that all this feedback will certainly help you structure your bets for Vodacom Durban July Day. The 9th race, the Compendium Insurance Brokers eThekwini Sprint. It's a non-black type event. They're going to race over 1,200 metres, and it's carded to go off at at 4:20. Graham, Sean will be having a refreshment to catch his breath for a busy day.
We need to put it out there that Golden Bell is scratched.
Yes, Golden Bell is scratched.
So she was the anti-post favourite. That's come out. I haven't seen the adjusted betting, but she would have been a popular choice after her last two very impressive victories. So that leaves us with what, Warren?
Well, it leaves us...
I'm a Battle of Trafalgar man, but healthy respect for Cartel Captain. I'm almost tempted to just leave it there and say again it's a boat race, but... I love the source at Altissima, and he was so good to us last weekend.
He was.
He was an attractive price. We had a nice strike. He won it convincingly. He loves the polytrack. He's probably got a bit to find with Battle of Trafalgar and Cartel Captain, particularly maybe Cartel Captain. So I'm going to ignore, I'm stating it, I'm going to ignore the chances of Rio Carrari, which I may pay the price for. But I'm only going with 3 horses. 1 Cartel Captain, 3 Battle of Trafalgar. And just for sentiment... and because he's been so good to me, I'm going to throw in number 8 at Altissima with them.
Okay, he certainly has been good to us at Altissima, that's for sure. But one other horse I'd like to suggest to the viewers to include, and not necessarily the first choice, but now that Golden Bell is out, that makes Gallic Princess, Candice Dawson's horse, the best weighted, top of the best weighted column. I'm going to throw her in as well, the daughter of Verse and Jetrix. Her last 3 wins were good, but her last win was particularly eye-catching when beating the 5th wave by nearly 5 lengths. So I'd like to throw her in as well.
Sean, maybe a quick question, because again, there's a number of high-felt horses, Battle of Trafalgar and Gallic Princess, etc. Anything catch your eye? I know you haven't got to run any longer. You can catch a breather while watching the action before saddling your runners in the last.
So once again, very helpful. All our viewers, most of the seasoned campaigners, seasoned punters know to look at the best weighted column in a conditions race. And I think you need to look closely at the best weighted column. With my filly out, Gallic Princess does come out tops. And I also have healthy respect for her. Candice Dawson having a good season. But what I like about this filly is her runs around the turn. As good as her form is down the straight, I think this filly around the turn is actually different class. The times she has run on from deep draws too, but I've got a feeling the way the weights are structured, the draw, I think she's going to enjoy the course and distance, and I respect her.
Okay, so I'm declaring publicly you've both swayed me. I made it a 3-horse race. I'm going to make it a 4-horse race. And because I made it a 4-horse race, I'm now going to have to throw in Rio Carrari as well, because it would be silly to leave that one out. So, yeah, I respect the fact that Gallic Princess has won her last 3. She's by the informed Vercingetorix, and of course it's the Gavin Arena Candice. I just wondered about, she beat Gin Fizz. That's been a bit out of touch, but let's not go on about it. I'm going to throw her in. You've persuaded me, guys, so thank you very much. If in fact she comes to win, and that's the reason I win the pick 6, I'll be the first to come and buy you a drink.
Well, as you say,
I was going to leave her out.
You'll either be buying us a drink and thanking us, or cursing us, one of the two. Okay, the 10th race.
Soft drink.
Soft drink, yes,
soft
buy
drink,
you a
yes.
soft drink, yeah. Straight up Coke. Straight up Coke.
Okay, the 10th race is the Hollywood Bets Tukela Handicap. It's a listed event over 1,600 metres to bring the curtain down on Vodacom Durban July Day, and it is on the turf. 5-5 is the off time. Gentlemen, when I first looked at this race, I thought, talking about boat races, could it be as easy as 4 Crown Towers and 9 Priceless Ruler? But the more I looked, the more it's not the case. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but Graham, let's start with Sean, because he's got a beautifully bred gelding in the race by Silvana out of Welwitschia, Tree Tumbo, who does take a step down in class now, Sean.
Yes, a nicely weighted horse. Obviously, his 3-year-old form is there for all to see. Very good horses that he's run to. His last race was very disappointing. The week after the race, he did have an abscess, which certainly could have accounted for the poor showing. He certainly seems to have improved in Durban, and he's an inclusion for me, a each way chance type of horse. I think it's quite an open race, and I think it's you're doing well to nail your colours to the mast, but it seems open. I think obviously a horse like Orpheus from a one draw enjoys gravel. You've got to respect him. I would put him in the play. And there was something else that caught my eye here. Is it Born to Perform?
Yeah, Born to Perform has got lovely form at this course. 3 wins and a second from only 4 starts, so well suited to the track. And then Price's Ruler, Sean ran a hell of a race in the Drill Horse Stakes. I mean, finished right on top of Bunker Hunt and Vardy and ran a hell of a race there. Probably ran above his rating, but has been left on the mark. So he could be well handicapped, but it is wide open. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think it's wide open, but my value bet for the entire day comes in this race.
You're going to make us wait to the last race.
I'm waiting to the last race because I might have to try and get out of it in the last. My value bet for the day comes in the last race. I'm going for number 8, Liberty Hall. The 3-year-old son of Karari ran second over the course and distance to got the green light in a Group 1 as a 2-year-old. Didn't run badly in the Guineas this season. He was gelded. He went off form in Cape Town. First run back as a gelding, ran 6th in the Guineas behind Wild Coast. And then might just have found the 2,000 metres of the Daily News a little bit beyond him. He's got bottom weight. If he can come back to his potential of 52.5, I'm expecting a big run from number 8, Liberty Hall. At 16 to 1, I think it's very attractive each way bet. But as Sean was alluding to, you've got to be very brave to nail your colours to the mast here. Obviously, Crown Towers could be, he's the one that sets the standard. He is the early favourite at 33 to 10. Infamous Fox won a race over the course and distance at last year's Vodacom Durban July meeting. In fact, one tout out there said you can get something like 1,000 to 1. Do It Again is looking to win again. Celtic Sea is looking to win again. And Infamous Fox is looking to win all of their respective races that they won last year. Back again for another crack. If they do it all again, I think the treble works out something like 1,000 to 1. If history was to completely repeat itself.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think well spotted, Graham. Liberty Hall, definitely a chance, and that sort of actually gives me a little more confidence with my horse because they did meet as 2-year-olds, and I got the better of the horse even though it was a short head. I do think it's got a big chance. Big chance, but if you like Liberty Hall, don't leave mine out.
No, absolutely not. Robert Bloomberg is quite a fan of your horse. I was listening to his chat that he had with Neil Andrews, and they've picked up on Tree Tumbo. It's a competitive handicap, so there are no clear-cut choices here. You pays your money, you takes your chances, you look for the value, horses that can win if they repeat their best form, and I think Tree Tumbo fits that bill, Liberty Hall fits that bill, but there are a few others as well, Warren.
There certainly are. The last race that will close off the meeting for the Vodacom Durban July Day. Well, all that's left is to wish you all the very best and to thank Sean for his time. Sean, thank you for coming into the studio and sharing with everybody your knowledge and your information. Graham?
It's been great having Sean here because obviously he's got key runners throughout the day. So it was great hearing firsthand from the man because while, of course, it's all about the Vodacom Durban July, there are 9 other races. There's a bite pot, there's a PA, there's a massive Pick 6 carryover. We're expecting the pool to get a 15 million. So all of that information, very valuable.
Very valuable and yeah, lovely. And Sean, let's hope we see you. I'm sure we will on Vodacom Durban July Day in the number 1 box. Several times, let's hope, and thanks very much for your contribution.
Yes, thanks. Always great to be a part of a special day like Durban July Day. Obviously, we just try and bring horses that we feel will be competitive, and even though it seems like we have a lot of runners on the day, which we do, we're only putting the runners in which we feel will run well. So there's nothing coming racing that you had to just have a lot of runners on the day. So if you like one of them, you can respect them, but I do think the key are my juveniles and obviously Celtic Sea.
That's a wrap from us. Thank you to everybody concerned that's made this production possible. Graham Hawkins, Sean Tarry, Warren Lenfurner, we bid you farewell.
Rainbow Bridge, twist the tape, do it again down the centre of the course, coming with an electric finish. Do it again, he's coming at Rainbow Bridge. He's a born leader.